an explosive series to start things off here, especially with the Ranger versus the Sorlag on Awoken. I still find it interesting that he didn't go with the clutch, but it's like I said though, Rapha, he knows that clutch can be a little bit of a struggle depending on how he exerts himself or tries to show dominance, and it's just a lot of baiting of the shield and it can be a bit of a pain. I think he's going to probably feel a little bit uncomfortable there, but even then though, Raisy is well aware of that, but it's also well aware of the weaknesses of the clutch as well. So I think he just don't want to take too many risks here. If on the start wants to play it safe, go to Ranger, and I don't think that's a bad pick at all.
No, not at all. Good respect coming out from Rapha there. As we are now just jumping into game, you hear the sounds in the background. Big breath for Rapha. You know, even on the bigger stage, even the best still feel the nerves. And he's definitely wanting to recoup and reclaim his title as #1 after a bit of a blip at QuakeCon. Whilst Raisy, as we see in picture now, is still yet to claim it on the big stage since we moved over to the QPL.
Yeah, it certainly has done, as they're both just getting ready to go into the first map. Like we said, it's going to be Awoken, the Ranger versus the Sorlag. We're going to see exactly how things will pan out, but this will be also a great indicator of what we expect here. And speaking of Devil here, Dan, I think we're just going to get underway very shortly here and see who's going to get the edge at the start of this series. And in terms of POVs, we'll be about to see Raisy see if he gets up to the Rangers straight away, and we get given that as well. Actually, it's going to be Rapha, but you know what? That's almost as good. So we're going to see how he does with the Sorlag in this matchup, starting off with Rapha's POV, and exactly what shenanigans he's going to be up to. Starting off with the Mega and heading towards straight to the Null, and actually gets the Heavy also. So already a fantastic start. Even though he hasn't got the weapons in his arsenal, he'll be able to grab that no problem.
Definitely, and don't expect anything too tricky to come out anytime soon, but what I'm expecting from Rapha is pace and aggression. He's picked the Sorlag for a reason, and that's what I want to see from him.
Certainly does now, as Rapha does manage to pick up the LG, just heading top mid, but the problem is Raisy's already there, and firing that first rocket is going to give him a good indication exactly how much to go on the way. About to go on the jump pad. Great rocket there. Coming out with the LG as well. It all comes out also left on 42 HP, but in the end, to start things off here, we said it was going to be explosive. A trade straight away, but already Raisy dropping down, trying to hit him with a machine gun, going back and forth here. And this is just absurd, Dan. And they're still backing away. Rapha's still after him, but in the end, though, Mega's up in the next 10 seconds. And the pressure from these two, they just want to get in each other's faces here.
Non-stop aggression from Raisy. Didn't even care that he's going against Sorlag. All he needs is a starting machine gun, apparently.
Seems to be that way. As Raisy now changing the tempo entirely. But Rapha will find him after picking up the Heavy, as I don't think Raisy really wants that. 41 HP, but look at it again, he's got the acid spear. He's barely on any HP. Surely, I was going to say that would have been way too close to comfort, but it does mean though that Rapha will finally bag that lead.
He does, but he's had to give up a full stack and position on the major items for it, which means Raisy should be able to sweep up this. Oh, what a drop! Catching Rapha off guard as he's trying to defend that. However, the rocket defense is unbelievable. But nevertheless, Raisy sweeps on in, forces the spawn on the other side of the map, and that's what he's trying to do. He still doesn't get the Heavy though.
It's a little bit of an issue here. Oh, the rail there, the flick was just perfect in order to almost stabilize the stacks between the two. But Raisy, no, just changing the tempo once more, having a bit of a defensive standpoint. But you can see now Rapha still lurking around, doesn't have a full indicator on exactly where Raisy could be, but it will do now as he picks up the Heavy machine gun going forward, trying to look to pick up the rockets as well. Got the Trinity he needs in order to engage later on, but does manage to pick up the Heavy quite comfortably, actually.
Does indeed. Rapha forfeiting that, but knows he's got the Mega to fall back on. It's not the end of the world for him. They're both resetting now, trying to get all the weapons they need, trying to get position, jostling for position. It is Rapha that comes out on top at the moment. Raisy ready to go to the back channel, but he's got into the main room here, and he wants to take the LG on LG fight. That's what we've seen in this theme so far, is he's happy to go mano-a-mano with Rapha. Doesn't even need a stack, he's just going alpha, and Rapha is respecting that.
Certainly is, as Rapha decides to prioritise the Heavy as his pick comes out, but it looks like Rapha's just sitting there waiting for it. It all comes out also, and he's looking pretty good here, but Rapha's the one who managed to win that little scuffle there and backs away once again. But you can see Raisy was looking for the trade, but that rail is definitely not going to help him. It doesn't even get to the LG in time, and that means Rapha will extend his lead.
He will indeed. Is this aggression from Raisy the right approach at the moment? seems to be Rapha that's coming out on top. As much as I gave Raisy credit for going man on money, you can see the eyebrow raise from Raisy. He's not entirely happy for that. And as we can switch over to Rapha, we can see how he's managing this. He's picked up the item just on the perfect timing once again. He's got all the momentum and Raisy's in the vicinity. I don't know if Rapha saw exactly where he's going to go, just missing out on that pixel rail. But he just wants to continue this aggressive approach.
Yeah, when I go LG on LG, I kind of felt like Raisy's tracking was a little bit off towards the end. It's not really going to affect him too much, but great orb though, but he's picked up the heavy, so keep Rapha alive a little bit longer. But the main thing is for Rapha, he probably expected to be taken down, but the main thing was he managed to steal the heavy, but instead he's actually managed to steal the mega as well at the same time. Will he manage to stay alive? No, he won't, as Raisy does manage to come back, but look at the amount of HP he's got here, Dan.
Not enough to contest the next heavy, that's for sure. We can hear Raisy on the other side of the map. Rapha rocket jumping across, he wants to cut off Raisy, at least to bully him away, and that's exactly what he'd achieved. He might try and hit an exit rail, but doesn't even want to risk that, and Rapha might even just rocket jump up. He's got full control of both these major items. This is the challenge with the Sorlang. You get the frag, you come out unhealthy, you lose control. How do you get a clean frag? That is the challenge for Raisy in this map.
Certainly is, but he's having none of that, but he has no choice here, going straight on in, and Rapha predicted that, absolutely no problem at all. And even though good LG damage there from Raisy, just tickling him a tad, but the only problem is, look at the stack of Rapha, now it's the situation's starting to get a little bit worse and worse. The mega is still up though, and I love this from Raisy, just literally just biding his time, just doesn't need to take the mega straight away, wants to get as much value out of his stack as possible. But still though, Raisy, no armor to his name. Rapha is still going to continue to eat up his lights, as Raisy did pick up the other one just below shotgun. Of course the fight's going to be coming out here for the heavy. Good rail, one more should be able to do it, but instead took him down. Nice stuff there from Rapha, but he did pick up the health bubble in the meantime, so even if he did try and go for another one, nothing would have happened.
Yes, and this is where it begins to spiral just a little bit. Raisy trying to bully Rapha, but Rapha is definitely on form with his aim so far, and Raisy's struggling now with a 5 frag deficit, potentially even a 6, and it's definitely going to be a 6. Rapha, as he does best, also sweeps up those lights on the way out. So Raisy has nothing to work, but he's going to try and take the heavy. It's gone bad to worse lethal.
Certainly has done, mate. A 7 frag deficit to try and catch up on, and at the moment Raisy's just forcing the situation because he knows he has absolutely no choice. There's not really enough time left. I know there's 3 minutes and 40 left on the clock, but the problem is though, if Rapha does change his style in any way and have a bit of a defensive measure, but in the end it's not really in Rapha's nature in order to do that. He wants to continue to pile on the pressure in case he does do that. But then again though, with the sword you can manage to do that. But the main thing is though, Rapha has done a fair amount of chip damage, managed to pick up the heavy, and now he's just trying to turn himself away, rotate towards the mega, which up in the next few seconds. I do feel like Raisy does need to pick this up, but he realises that, yeah, it's just overstaying his welcome, not really too much he could do there, and yeah, let's see what Raisy can continue to do.
Oh, that was been a critical rail. They have to hit those shots against the big champions. Rapha though gets away for now. He hasn't got himself a rail, so it could be a good strategy for Raisy to try and deny that area. He's got a long time between the 2 major items. He's not pushing out here. I would expect him to do a little bit more damage, but he's just trying to play it safe. He realises he's got enough time at this point. Rapha trying to deny this mega knockdown successfully, and he's taken a big fight.
That's done, but the rocket's going back and forth between these two. Of course, Raisy didn't really have much LG to work with, so actually the situation would have definitely helped him a little bit more compared to Rapha did. But looks like he's going to be backing away. Nice little jump up there towards top mid. Mega's up in the next 10 seconds, and Heavy's literally just appeared. He needs to try and pick that up and try and contest the Mega at the same time if he can make it there. Of course, Rapha's still going to be waiting, but he's going with the rockets. Great stuff there, beautiful stuff. Still has room though. 2 minutes and 10 left on the clock here, Dan.
Yeah, he didn't have an LG, so he had to execute that perfectly, and Raisy being Raisy, of course he did. He's still got a long way to go. 4 frags in 2 minutes is a long road against the Sorlang.
Certainly is, especially with the mobility of the Sorlang. So now Raisy just biding his time. Perfectly understandable at this point. Has managed to pick up the heavy, just It's all about trying to track Rapha down there. The problem is at the later stages, especially on this map, the starting stack is going to be a bit of an issue, but good rail there once again. Going to try and clear him up with the LG. Will he be able to? Is he trying to try and bolt himself out of it? Does manage to get away, and this is exactly what I was just talking about.
Was indeed, and he took a different pathing to get to that point, allowed Rapha to get in on the Mega, and of course Rapha had perfect timing, got in, got out. That is probably just winning the game. If Raisy got that frag, he was in with a slim chance. Without it, no, impossible. Rapha's going to run the clock, run away, defend the choke point, and just constant spam. I do feel that Raisy may have, or potentially could have been more proactive in between the items. He was just trying to rotate and do a full committal after picking them up. I do feel that in hindsight, maybe he should have looked to get a rail here or there, at least some spam damage between the major items, get onto the lights. That's something Rapha was doing much more effective than Raisy in this map.
Certainly has done. It's a shame earlier on, Rapha's getting back-to-back frags, what gave him that comfortable lead in order to try and make something happen. Oh, look at that, beautiful. Nice defensive rail. If he missed that, surely he definitely would have been in a world of trouble. And also going to acid spit to boot. And that rocket is going to confirm it, the rail straight afterwards. Again, making matters worse, and that is definitely going to be it here. Rapha's going to take the first map in this best of 5. An already strong showing here from Rapha.
Great showing by Rapha. Really impressed with his game across the board. The Solag pick, once again, a little bit unorthodox what we've seen in the meta, but we've seen exactly why he's picked it. Because he knows what Raisy wanted to do with that Ranger. He knows he wants to be run at, really to be challenged in close combat situations. So Rapha made sure he had the stack to match him mano a mano, and it worked to a T. Like we said, I do want to see more from Raisy in between those item pickups. A little bit too ABC to play against Rapha. Nevertheless, it was still a close game, irrespective of that. So I should give him some confidence moving on.
Yeah, the way he was clawing himself back, yeah, I completely agree. And, you know, there's that one moment where you did mention as well where if he did one of those initial engagements, if he actually won, then yeah, he would have had a slim chance. But even in those, like you said, the ability of the Sorlak would have been extremely tough. Unless Rapha's in a really open spot in that area. And, oh, that's nice. What do you think of that one, Dan?
That's very cute. That's Rapha's desk, right?
It must be. It is. Are you a bit jealous, Dan?
I kind of want that now I've seen it. I've been here the whole time and I haven't seen that once. Where has that appeared from?
I've not seen it either, actually. That's actually the first of it. To be fair, you know what my awareness is like, though, Dan.
I mean, it's on the desk. I can just not unsee it now. That's all I'm looking at.
Before I was just looking at the players to see exactly how they're feeling, but now I'm just staring at it. I just can't go for it.
What is it?
I don't know.
Can we go back on it, production? I don't even know what it is. It's like, is it a moo cow? What is it?
Are we just too old to know?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know either. I'm sure someone in chat can probably tell us what it is because I'm a little bit interested.
It's not a sheep.
A llama, maybe?
Alpaca. Alpaca is a long and thin. That's a pretty chode alpaca, if anything.
Definitely,
I
yeah.
got Ryan telling me it's alpaca. I got production telling me it's alpaca. That's definitely not an alpaca. You guys need to Google alpaca. That's
I don't know. Maybe it's his lucky charm? I have no idea. I have no idea at this point.
Sheep on acid. It's not sheep. I don't know. Let's talk about Rapha Raisy, not the chronically.
Are you sure?
I kind of like it, but no, we should be talking about the game. We should be here to talk about.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
We get the picks and bands up. Let's restore some normality. Go back to there. We go. So quick. He's not even prepared. Can't juke him. We got Doom versus Athena on Deep Embrace. Rapha picking that means Raisy lost his map. I love the Athena pick. We saw it from Maxter earlier up against Wenger. Took the map with a storm. Fairly similar, actually. I think even Wenger was playing the Doom at that point, if I remember right. It was. So exactly the same setup. Hopefully not the same consequence for Myztro fans because Wenger was unable to cope with the pace of Maxter on that map.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think the Doom for Deep Embrace can be pretty standard, but it's nice to see the Athena more and more now. This is what I love to see. So, of course, it's just all about the starting stack if he's just trapped on spawn. This is the one issue, but I'm sure Rapha's going to be more than prepared for, and you know, banning that clutch once again. If he does make an appearance on Deep Embrace, which I don't think we have seen, is something he doesn't really want to deal with, especially on an open map and something so small such as Deep Embrace. And then of course we began to corrupt and keep straight afterwards. But I've been impressed so far more by Rapha and how he's been performing here in that last map. But Raisy. There was a couple of the odd plays here and there and the odd weaknesses, but nothing really which can massively turn the table in this series. I still think there's a possibility it will definitely go all the way, but you know what? Enough chatter from us. Let's just go straight into this second map on Deep Embrace and see exactly how these two are going to perform, and just see if Rapha can extend that lead to 2-0 in the series, or if Rapha maybe drop and, of course, Raisy try and equalise the scoreline.
He does indeed. He needs it on this map. I did say in the intro, I hope, well, they should have champions they both like, but you can see already, this is the challenge of playing Doom on this map against the Athena. You lack the speed to keep up with him, so Raisy has to find a way to slow the pace down, get onto the high ground.
Of course, yeah, with the Dooms, they do have the double jump, do have the berserk to try and make the movement a little bit awkward with decent speed, but even in the LG's come up from both these players here, and actually Raisy was super weak, but Rapha just playing it safe just to find a rocket on the LG just to make sure to confirm that frag just in case he gets into a spot of bother. But now Raisy currently up top mid, just waiting for him to make the first move. So don't really get any rocket damage as of yet, but the problem is he's tanking a lot of it in comparison, because he's not really got anything done here. Has to back away once more, and I'm actually really worried for Raisy. Right at the very get-go, it's only just been over a minute.
Absolutely. He's getting rings run around him by Rapha, who's just all over him. We know Athena is a strong champion, but I think Rapha's probably the best Athena in the world. So Raisy's definitely got an uphill struggle just against the pick, let alone with a 3-0 scoreline a minute and a half in. Rapha denying that rail, hitting some damage as well. There's nothing up for Raisy at this point. He's a little bit trapped up on the high ground, and he's just going to have to do as much damage as he can before he dies.
He had absolutely no choice in the slide. Didn't have any rockets to keep him at bay. Didn't have a rail either. And he only had the LG, which is why he pushed a little bit further off the heavy in order to try and make the best out of a bad situation. Heading into the 2-minute mark now. Rapha's just picked up the heavy. Mega, well, actually both Mega and heavy are almost in sync. Yeah. It's just having that gentleman's agreement now, just picking up these items. But Raisy's looking to see if he can try and catch him off guard here, but sadly he won't, as Rapha was more than prepared for that. Also just walking around, but good LG machine gun as well. But when he better take him, it's going to be another frag to Vitaly now. Rapha 5-0 so early on.
Yeah, as we switch over to Rapha, then we can see where this Athena prowess comes from. As you rightly pointed out, Raisy finally gets a major item, but they're on sync, so Rapha still gets his own, and that's definitely favouring him having come off worse for wear. In that fight, he's also got the high ground, can protect this rail area, can protect this rocket. Nothing really Raisy can do to challenge Rapha, because he's just maintaining position over this side of the map and isolating him to those underground channels.
You're right though, with these items being in sync, if Rapha wins his next fight and gets another frag to his name, with the items being in sync, it should be perfectly fine, because if they're not, then it means Raisy can literally go for these items straight on spawn. What an LG going up the lift straight away. Raisy's so weak, those two missed rails is going to not do Rapha any favours, but he's already done the damage he needs in order to re-engage and push on Raisy once again. But I love the little flank there just to try and grapple across. It's now 6-0 already, Dan.
Yeah, it's going from bad to worse for Raisy. However, the items are quite far apart. Raisy's obviously on the opposite side of the map, so he might not even have time now to get across this Mega. He doesn't, he forfeits it. Rapha playing a little bit careful, but Raisy's nowhere to be found. Rapha's got timing on this light, it would seem. There he does, he's pushing across aggressively for the heavy. Raisy's fortunately up on there. That's aggressive move by Rapha. Nice. Unnecessary, I have to say. He has the frags to play with, and that's probably the thought here. But now he's been bounced nearly off the map, and he still gets fragged. Oh, Rapha, too aggressive, and it's come back to bite you.
And this is the problem, see, like we said with the starting stack. Even if he's 5-0, 6-0, 10-0 down, Raisy's got openings here to try and catch him on spawn and just go from there and see if Rapha can recover from any kind of bad circumstances. As Raisy now picks up the heavy, looking very solid at the moment, looking to try and push on forward to clean him up. Beautiful lovely, rocket, yeah. That was lovely, wasn't it?
Rapha also gets the worst spawn just in the corner here. It's just, you have to accept your fate at that point and just try and do as much damage and delay to get an item when you're off the spawn. Unfortunately for Rapha, neither is the case. He does spawn again, rail rocket side, so he gets the key weaponry and Athena needs to do damage. One rail off the bat, scoots in early for the Mega, for the heavy should I say, and manages to pick it up. He takes quite a lot of damage, and an amazing rail. Hasn't been finished off just yet, but that one will!
And the comeback's coming here, Dan. It was 6-0 down, and this was the huge talking point here. And it's just, even just a little bit of damage here and there is definitely going to add up. And now he's able to pick up the Mega Fed. The rail could have been a little bit different, but obviously because of the spawn, he wasn't able to try and capitalize on that. Still on 83 HP, but Raisy's still doing a lot of work, a lot of damage. Good try bolt just to slow the pace down a tad. He's still got the rail there, but it's actually backed away again because, of course, he needs at least 2 rails to take him down. Not anymore, especially after that heavy. And Raisy's looking much, much better compared to what we saw at the start of this match.
Lovely self-awareness there just by the rail. Rapha faking the jump, realizing the trap was coming. These guys are playing at such a high level. But to your point, the comeback's been forced out of that slightly aggressive play by Rapha over by the heavy, pushing it when he might not be able to. And we know how snowball-y Deep Embrace can be, so he gave Raisy an inch, he's taken a mile. However, he's extended his lead back to 7-5. Raisy going in for the punch, Rapha dodging, not taking any damage there. Raisy clutching at straws.
It's not something you see every day, is Rapha now just took a rail on the chin as well as the rocket. Mega's going to be up any second now. They assumed that Raisy's going to go through the murder hole, but instead he delayed it. Good stuff here from Raisy now. Just Rapha just backing away, just getting into position for the heavy. Realises that it's not going to be contested. It's going to be for free. He's going to segregate the timings a little bit further. And it could be an issue later on, but we'll see. Because now Raisy's just backing away, and of course he will. He has in absolutely no position to even attempt to try and go for that fight. But this one rail could cost him here, and realises that the Berserk comes out, gets a second one, but even then, no, the rockets are definitely going to do dividends there, as Raisy now still falling short with Rapha now, still with a 4th frag lead. But remember though, still got a few minutes left, but it looks like he's going, see you later, Rapha. He's going to be taken down there. Sadly, just a little bit of movement problems there for Rapha, but the problem is for Raisy still needs to find 3 frags in the next 3 minutes.
Yes, desperate plays coming out from Raisy in the last few exchanges. Nevertheless, despite all of that, it's a 3 frag game, as you point out. And there is more than enough time on Deep Embrace to make it happen. But you just have to say that Rapha is still up playing Raisy. The Athena and the movement capabilities are causing quite the problem for Raisy.
Yeah, we've seen it on a number of occasions. Rockets coming out here for Rapha as he stands his ground. Just dodging and weaving, not really taking much damage, but not really delivering much himself either. But it will take anything at this point. 2.5 minutes left. Rapha with the slight stack lead. And he'll literally just go in and done a lot of LG damage, just trapping and clipping him onto that wall, onto that LG side here. And it's just looking pretty bleak here for Raisy.
It is indeed 2 minutes now, and as we talked about, it was a close game. It's extending to a unachievable scoreline very quickly with the time ticking away. Now just approaching the 2-minute mark to go. Rapha in control of both major items. As much as Raisy's hitting some nice rails, they're being nullified by the pickups. And Rapha's flying around the map with Raisy nothing to work with. Rapha can just delay until it's safe to progress through.
He's not bothered at the moment, is he? He can take all the risks he wants, and you know, the more he keeps picking up these items and having those risks work, the worse it's going to be. Minute 40 left. Raisy now taken down once again. 6 frag deficit. Almost catches him on the spawn and knows his exact location and what he's going to be up to. Heavy's coming up, and Raisy realises that he needs to try and show a little bit of life on the server in order just to pick up that heavy and just try and come back in this matchup here. But the defensive rails from Rapha just way too good, and even though he takes him down, he's very weak from that last fight.
He is, but there's a minute to go. You can see he's just having to plus forward at this point, and Rapha is just dodging around that, using his weapon advantage to exploit the weaknesses of Raisy. You can see desperate times with a super shotgun trying to make something happen. And this will be Rapha's map. 2-0 lethal.
Dear me, yeah, we're going to have to see a reverse sweep from Raisy in order for him to come back from this matchup. But of course, for you guys at home, if they come from the winner's side and go into the grand finals, they will have that 1 map advantage. And the way these guys are playing, every little helps at this stage. So whether it's a finish, and you know, nice little style points here. And I think I have to talk about Rapha a little bit just as a whole. Like his aim today compared to what we saw in the previous match earlier on and yesterday seems to be a lot better, a lot more improved. And he seems to be his old self. Like, you know, when he back and won those first 3 stages in the last QPL season. He's like back in old form.
I couldn't agree more. And I think, if anything, Raisy looks a little bit off of his game. I feel he's trying to rely too much on just bullying Rapha with aim, not enough on some of the basics, and probably not enough on using the rail either. And if we're being honest, he looks like he's been outpicked, and maybe it's in part just due to him not being comfortable on some of the champions he needs to be. The fact that he picked Doom and left Athena out in the pool, you know what he's going to pick. You had the option to pick it. It makes me feel that he needs to, and saying this is Raisy, one of the most practiced players in the scene, needs to extend his options of which champions he can play.
Oh dear, this series could be quite anticlimactic if Raisy doesn't pull his finger out and try and sort something here. It's been a bit of a struggle for him, but you know, we definitely have faith in him in terms of what he can bring to the table. It's not like we've not seen him being placed into this situation once before. We are going to be going to Corrupt to keep it. If it was on Vale, might have been a different story here. In this way, you can create that momentum and build it up going to the next 2 maps. But the problem is, it is going to be on Corrupt to keep it. It's going to be the Anarchy versus the BJ. And what's your thoughts on this matchup? To be fair, we've seen it time and time again here. But hopefully, for the Anarchy, Raisy can try and do something happen. But also at the same time, Raisy's had a pretty bad history on Corrupt to keep versus Rapha.
Yeah, often used to be his favoured map. I think fallen down the pecking order very slightly since then. I think BJ versus Anarchy is it's unusual. Again, it comes to a playstyle thing. I think Anarchy, when played right, can be exceptionally strong on this particular map. However, the weakest time in the Anarchy's life, and any light champion's life, is just off the bat when you've been killed because you have no starting stack. Often you've used your ability in the previous fight. What are you meant to do as an Anarchy when you can be refragged after refrag on this particular map? And then you give the BJ, heavy machine gun. Rapha's innate ability just to know where you are and do chip damage at all times. It makes a light champion feel incredibly squishy. So I think in a normal situation, an Anarchy pick here would be great. Against Rapha, I think he's left himself a little bit vulnerable.
I think he has as well. And this is going to be the 3rd map here. Could be the final map of the evening, depending on how Raisy plays this out. And of course, with the Anarchy, Rapha's going to be keeping a close eye on his hourglasses across the board. Picks up the heavy straight away, must pick up the shoddy as well. Pretty much what he's known for, especially on this map, on Vale.
Yeah.
Using the dual ward very early on, just trying to establish some map presence as he's pushing on forward. It's taken a huge amount of damage already, and this could be a room for Raisy to push on forward. Of course it is. That's going to be cute to drop on down, go bottom mid. And the item's still up for another 10 seconds as Raisy looking to try and recover.
And that super shotgun's going to be a key weapon in this match because get into close quarters, you switch to that, you blow up an Anarchy. So expect to see that more and more. Items are again on more or less the same time. Each quite happy just to trade those items, and that's the way Keep normally goes. It's quite hard to get fully locked out of this map.
And the heavy machine gun is so important. A vital piece of utility in order to try and keep your distance and try and catch your opponent by trickling a bit of damage here and there to try and engage and take your opponent down. A minute's passed over, Raisy with a nice little lead to start things off. Both items are still up and both players delaying it just a tad, but still almost in sync. As they're already just trying to throw each other off just a tad here. Again, Hourglass is just Raisy just trying to pick on up consistently in order to keep that inject going, and looking to see where Rapha's going to come next. Did come from above, it is around the rocket area, a little bit good use in the heavy machine gun. But in the end, no, Raisy not looking too bad, but stacks almost equal.
Yeah, slower paced game now. And Raisy might have the first lead he's had all series long. See how long he can hold on to that. Trading items. Raisy not trying to press his advantage, he's got inject up. He's also aware that Rapha will have the position in the mid ground and have that dual wield, so it's always going to be a risk to push into that. Oh, big rocket there on the defense. That leaves Rapha reeling. Raisy knows it. The question is, can he break this choke point?
He could do, especially in the predicament he's in, using the inject now just to try and guarantee it. The Mega is up, and it looks like he's leaving Rapha to do it. The dual comes out as well, though. Rapha really losing this fight, and Raisy just biding his time, but in the end, Rapha did enough damage towards the end of that segment in order to try and get away. But that mega pickup was absolutely huge. Now still just trying to push him with the rockets, actually backed away. Using the heavy machine gun to do a fair amount. It's just a matter of how Raisy's going to push this. And this is a beautiful push here. Clean, nice. Still a good stack to work with here from Spawn. And they're also going to pick up the mega.
And the way in which Raisy's playing the Anarchy is perfect because he's not overextending. That's what we've seen on the previous maps. He's trying to push the advantage too much. However, on this match, it is more restrained. And therefore, he's making a better use of his stack. And he's caught Rapha here, bouncing him around. Lovely conversion frag. And this is where the speed can come in. The inject still wasn't popped. So you can take this fight, you can pop the inject and go back for more.
He certainly can and can make good use of the mega, but then the problem is it's up in a couple of seconds. Need to try and rain some rockets down as soon as physically possible. Hasn't done the huge amount yet here, so that will be a mega going into the hands of Rapha to pick up his hourglasses there. Inject will be coming up shortly. Heavy's up also, which means Rapha's in a much better predicament than he was earlier on. There's some decent rockets there, still on 56 HP, just wasting a little bit of time, making Rapha think he's going to pick up to do health bubbles on, or inside the red room rather, but instead, Raisy just baiting that. Good plays already, good mind games from him. Just again, just standing his ground, still got the inject, just getting ready for this next mega, and we know this area very well, Dan. Looking to try and pick up the mega, manages to do it, and considering the spot that Raisy's in now, looking very solid.
Rapha, understanding and respecting that. He's caught here. He nearly kills Raisy, but he didn't. And the heavy was up for the taking. Regrouping, restacking. Injector will be up just after he takes these shards if he wants to go down there and to get the vials.
Certainly will do. And unlike this, it's very conservative, just making the right plays, making the right decisions as well, just not really rushing into anything, not overextending like you said with the Anarchy, and it's exactly how he should be playing. But I think if he takes this map comfortably as he is now, this should give him a lot of room to build up momentum going to the next two maps, because like we said, we've still got Veil with, you know, especially the scale versus kill matchup straight after this. And, you know, for Rapha, he's going to definitely struggle a little bit further here, using the heavy machine gun now still. Again, manages to stay alive, pick up the hourglasses once again, just building that HP up as well as the inject, and still just, again, not really making too many errors here. And what the LG was that? Literally 44 HP left, still on 12, using the inject and still picked up the mega. This is looking much more comfortable, Dan.
This is clinical. Clearly had a mental reset and it's come back with aplomb, because this is just completely the opposite way in which he was playing. Much more calculated, much more efficient, and he's making the Anarchy pick look incredibly smart.
Certainly is. We were a little bit worried about the decision making and some of the plays Raisy was making earlier on, but it seems like he's feeling it here. A little bit late into the series, but better late than never. But Rapha, though, finally finds the first frag. Very uncharacteristic of him, not something we'd normally see at a halfway stage, but that's how dominant Raisy's actually been so far. Heavy has been picked up, Meg's not going to be up for a while yet, so it's going to be all about Raisy trying to stay alive, even at this stage. I know he's not going to play defensive, but at least waste a little bit more time here, there, and absolutely everywhere in order to try and secure this victory.
What we haven't seen from Rapha that we alluded to in the intro was that all of the spam, the chip damage, you know, the heavy machine gun, the nail gun, the tri-bolt. Haven't seen any of that, which is very typical for Rapha. But also, Raisy's just been better at using the vials. You know, he's on his 9th inject already. Barely seen the dual wield. It's been used to secure areas, but we've seen no effectiveness of it in combat. So it's good positioning and play from Raisy to limit all of the game plan for Rapha.
You're right though, even though he hasn't had the stack, Raisy's holding a positional advantage in order to do a huge amount of damage to keep him in some of these matchups. Once again though, still looking to back away, got caught with his trousers down just a tad. And Rapha's not overexerting himself, just backing away, knowing that he's going to have to play ringing around the rosy in order to try and catch Raisy, but we'll find him in the end. Does clean him up with a shotgun. Good stuff from Rapha, managed to bring back another frag to his name and looking to see if he can add a little bit more to the tally.
Indeed, and the items begun to split as well. 10 seconds between the two, so Rapha can get a full lockdown here. He's actually forced out the injuries. I don't believe he would have heard that. But either way, securing both items for free. This is where the tempo will begin to rise for Rapha. Rocket jump through, actually misses the jump, but he's on the aggress. He knows the advantage in his corner, and also time is ticking away as well. 2.5 minutes to go, and Raisy's, you said he might not go go defensive. He definitely will now. No items to work with, not enough time for him to really do anything else except play defensive now.
Yeah, Raisy's clearly thought about the longevity of this matchup and what predicament he could be in at the later stages, and now it's heavily working in his favour. Rapha now full control of the items. Segregation's perfect for him, can contest every single one. But the problem is it's going to be that game where, when is Rapha going to prioritise the frag over the item? This is going to be the next question. Of course, Raisy will try and go for... Yeah, exactly. He needs to push at this point, but great rocket there just to keep him at bay. Still bottom mid, still going on a tribal jump pad, using the dual wield and back and forth. Just doing so much damage, Dan.
Yeah, and I think that's just won the game. It's so frustrating for Rapha. He's trying to chase Raisy, but he's running into a blind alley. He's running into Raisy, who knows exactly what's going on because it's desperation mode. The pathing is obvious, but it has to be. Rapha has to take the quickest route to find his opponent, and that's the route Raisy is protecting. So I'll be surprised if he even gets a frank before the end of the game, because Raisy is just playing better at this point. He's also got a champion that's just much, much quicker.
This has been picture perfect. It's, we're thinking this could be a bit of an anticlimactic series, considering the history between the two on this map. We know it used to be Raisy's keep a while ago, but still very strong in this matchup here. Some good rockets from Raisy, but again backing away. Just making the right decision each and every time and just trying to bait Rapha out as much as possible. And you can see he's just being such a pain in the backside here, Dan, and looking like he's going to be able to back away. He needs to find 4 frags in a minute. Seen it been done before, but the way he's just skiving and just been, again, just being a real nuisance. Manages to get away, but again, using the LG, and as he just pushes him, probably done him a little bit of a favour.
Kind of see Rapha dying inside, trying to chase Raisy around the map. He's just like, what can I do?
It's like trying to catch a fly, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. He's making all the right reads, but this is great champions. He's got a champion that isn't quick, and Raisy has one that can go quick and move through the air. So what on earth is Rapha meant to do? You can't even outbrain them because they can just hear you and run the other way.
25 seconds left, pretty much all done and said. Finally, a little bit late, but at least he managed to catch him. But even then, no, surely not. Oh my God, as if he even managed to win that. But I don't think Rapha's heart was in it then, because he knew that this map has already been said and done. And it looks like that map 5 potential is still there, is still on the cards. Raisy managed to win map number 3, but Rapha's still up 2-1 in the series. But we also have to talk about the next map as well, being on Veil, especially, even though it's, Rapha's favourite map, the scale bear versus the kill, I'm liking the scale favour.
Well, I mean, the theme of this series so far has been utility and mobility. We think back to the first map, the Sorlag one, she had the stack as well, obviously, but the speed was crucial to Rapha's victory. Map 2, same as we saw earlier in the day, Athena reigning supreme. And you move on to this one. I was a bit fearful that Rapha could make Raisy look squishy, but he got off to a fast start on Raisy. And that's when the momentum from an Anarchy comes to the fore. He was able to abuse the speed in the right way and take the right engagements. And then when it got to a defensive stage, Rapha was almost helpless. He was being held on a string, on a leash for the rest of the map. And we move on to this map where, mobility isn't as important, but it's still important. And the Scale Bearer, for me, is the better champion here. However, we've seen Rapha play Kill before on this map. We've seen him make it look very fast and very easy. So he'll definitely have a game plan. It's not to say that it's that one-sided.
Yeah, it's more for Rapha where he is on the map with the kill. He has to consistently change the tempo. Like I said, he does play very fast with the kill. And when he's setting up for Mega, he's going to be using those pineapples in order to keep Raisy at bay. But, Raisy looked very good on Veil the last time these two engaged with each other in the Losers Finals back in QuakeCon 2021. But the scale's just annoying anyway on Veil. But having someone like in tip-top shape and the top players such as Raisy, it just makes matters worse.
Absolutely. That would definitely calm his nerves a little bit. It's not nice to go down 2-0, but it's still a long road back. Any slip-up on this particular map, and Rapha will definitely take it, as we know. But Raisy is probably one of the people that, you never know. He doesn't ever seem rattled. You can never tell what's going on inside, though. And Rapha, all the experience in the world, should be absolutely fine going into this map with a one-map advantage. Yeah,
he should be right. He should be okay. I'm sure it's not going to be something which... I think, we're talking about the aggression with the kill as well. The problem is there's a lot of occasions where you have to keep your distance against the scale, which is why I was talking about the tempo shift and the possible role reversals later on. It's going to be very difficult for Rapha to adapt, but let's be honest, Rapha's one of the best players to adapt anyway, isn't he? One of the best adaptability players here on the circuit. you know, outside. Just a very fair few who's got that kind of rare dual experience in order to try and express it to some of these players. And even then, though, I do like Raisy's chances, though. Like, with the 2-0 earlier on, I was looking at you thinking, oh dear, like, you know, this, I'm not really feeling this down. I don't think this is going to go too well. But looking at how he played before, completely night and day difference here for Raisy.
Definitely was. Much more restrained, much more calculated, better champion to play with. And he has the same foundation to build from going into this map. But it is technically Rapha's best map, and he's left it till this late in the pool. You know, yeah, quote unquote best map. So, and I'm thinking back to past performances. I can't remember Raisy playing a scale bearer. I'm sure he has, but it obviously wasn't that memorable.
I do agree with that, because normally every time these two players play against each other, it is a best of 5, isn't it? So they're limited to certain options, might use a scale maybe on a different map instead. But we're going to kick things off here. Map number 4, if you're just joining us, where on earth have you been? It is a best of 5 in the winner semi-finals. Rapha's coming up 2-1 in the series. And Raisy already picking up the Mega early. Hasn't got the rail as of yet, but realises that Rapha's potentially down there. So we'll see how Raisy plays this out. Still right.
Nice and steady. Rapha getting up onto the high ground very early. That's where he's going to want to set up camp. So we're going to live up there. Let's say that he comes from down below, spams up the grenades, takes a little bit of an LG chip fight from down below, as well as hitting. Wow! A rail to random grenade that I didn't even see.
Even from that angle, that was ridiculous, but he was quite semi-close, you could say. But even then, though, that was a risk that certainly paid off, and Rapha's still got a lovely stack here, and now the Heavy's just going to make it even worse for Raisy. A missed rail there, which was actually pretty important for him, but the LG from Raisy looked very good. Good rail as well. Looking for one more, just barely misses it. That was so vital, but it doesn't matter. He managed to finish up anyway. 2-0 already this early on for Rapha.
Rinse and repeat for Rapha. The exact same maneuver, allowing Raisy to take it, coming and challenging. Pineapple galore is 3 frags already. And Raisy, if I'm honest, it doesn't look that confident on the scale. He's been caught in a couple of traps that Rapha has set up, and it's what you can do in a kill. You can just turret up.
The Galena was available, but did decide to go with the scale anyway. Decent-ish rocket from Raisy, but it's just down below, just preparing for the Heavy. Got to hit early, so I'm not too sure if Rapha's aware. He will be now after that rail straight afterwards. A couple of pineapples does get dropped down. Decent rocket there, coming up with the bull rush there, but in the end misses out. That's interesting.
I'm not
maneuver
sure.
there, but yeah, that was debatable.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the plan was there from Raisy. Rapha could even be picking up his 5th frag here. Raisy does hit a nice flick rail to the side, but is left reeling once again. Rapha spamming through the doorway, but has the whole map at his disposal. Lovely rail to keep him in the game for now, but it does feel like the inevitable frag will come as Rapha is in the vicinity once again. Pineapple's coming up, but he's forced Raisy out of the way of this major pickup. And here he comes barreling on through the keel, taking out Raisy once again. It's gone from bad to worse.
Certainly has done. I kind of feel like for Rapha, he assumed that Raisy may have recovered a tiny bit using the pineapple instead of the tripod, but he actually didn't. He was still super weak and didn't get too far. But this could be a moment for Raisy here, but instead Rapha again, I just felt like he's had full map control for the majority of his matchup over the first 3 minutes, still holding the high ground, standing tall, waiting and daring for him to go for that Heavy. And would he go for it though? He's tempted, but finally does get it, which is going to be very important for Raisy, at least to pick up something in order to give him a bit of leeway.
But as you said, Rapha's just in position to punish all of this. Raisy can't get out. He's living on the low ground and taking damage whenever he tries to step foot anywhere near that mega area, which gives Rapha full reign of 2 lights and a mega. Raisy's stuck with just armor.
Rapha again just waiting for him to go for the TP, but Raisy decides not to. Perfectly understandable. Both items are up. Does manage to steal the mega, but doesn't really matter at this point. Rapha would probably prefer to go for the Heavy anyway. And now again just Playing the waiting game. And I like this as well. Just not only is he trying to take Raisy off guard from a different angle, but also at the same time he's just wasting precious time. Because a 5-0 lead isn't too bad for Bell. We know that some instances can occur, but especially against the scale, this is what you need to do. Just keep your distance. Oh, the tri-bolt as well. He's looking to try and get a bit more of the pineapples, but get a different angle onto the Mega. And he's jumping up straight away, but why was he doing it? That was, again, a little bit debatable, but Rapha does pick up the heavy, and look at the stack difference already, Dan.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Raisy at the moment. Maybe he didn't hear Rapha go for that item, but he rocket jumped straight into him. And as you said, 5-0 on Veil is not a big lead, but I will just throw out there that it's very hard to get a refrag on a heavy. So that lead is tough to break. Normally it's back and forth with the heavies because you die, you're low, they jump off the spawn, they kill you. So having multitude of frags in advance as we go for a big engagement here. Rapha's bounced over the heavy, so there's the first frag Raisy need 5 minutes into the game.
You're right, and you make up a great point as well with the starting stack of the heavies as well. And Raisy finally picks up the first frag. It took him 5 minutes, but he managed to get himself in the end. The ball rush comes in, looking to try and do a little bit more. Now he gets the second. So again, 3 frag deficit, and look at that straight away. Rapha just trying to clean him up with the LG, try and go for the trade. Almost managed to in the end, and I don't think Raisy was too much expecting that.
No, I don't think it was as well. Look how low Raisy is. He's missed out on both major items. Rapha has a big stack just to run on through. Can even just absorb that damage running into the room.
The LGs are coming out to play. Just barely misses out on that. As you said though, actually, I was thinking that Rapha actually had a much lower stack, but yeah, look at the difference now. 4 minutes left, 4 frags to try and recuperate from.
Rapha knows exactly how long it will take him to drop down, get that frag, and get back for both major items. So he uses all of his resource in terms of health and armor, gets low, and then goes back to full again. How frustrating, but how perfect from Rapha.
Yeah, he's starting to play more reactionary, more than piling on the pressure here, even with the stack. And obviously the assumptions not helping Raisy too much, but does manage to get the last frag. And again, Rapha's just picking up the rockets. Luckily for Raisy, even though it's quite a difficult thing to do, but he's been caught straight away. Exactly that. Now up to 7.
Yeah, for every frag Raisy gets, Rapha responds more than in kind at this point. He's also caught Raisy in the courtyard. Big damage coming out. He extends his lead once again, and it really does feel inevitable at some point that Rapha will be winning this game because he is just looking dominant.
He certainly is. I think he's playing more reactionary just due to it being the scale. He doesn't want to get caught with his trousers down by any means. Rapha just dropping down. Stack's pretty similar, which of course is not going to help Raisy at all, but does hit the first rail. But only problem is though, Rapha, he's been up top, he's had height advantage, he's had control for so long, and Raisy now just can't find a way in.
Not at all, and you said it perfectly. The map control, the map positioning has been Rapha through and through. The majority of the items have been there, even when they trade. The reason they trade is because Rapha wants to stay in position or retreat to a formidable position. And Raisy's just been running around. Look at this, running around again, trying to get in close combat with Rapha. But it's all pretty futile. And even if he gets the frag, look how low he will be. And look what Rapha will do. He'll just pick up a weapon, pick up some armor. He's already double, triple the stack with Raisy. And there you go, refrag, back in control.
He's just been a lot more efficient with his engagements, hasn't he? And that's definitely been the turn of the tide. And plus, many more we could just add to the list. Some debatable players, of course. LG comes out here from Rapha, but the only problem is now he's backing away straight away. He's going to pick up the heavy, and do you know what? Why not? That's what he was planning for. Good round there from Raisy, but the only problem is, though, it's 8:20. He's only got a minute 40 left on the clock, and yeah, now Raisy needs to. He's in desperation mode right now.
He is. And if there's a comeback here, it will be a miracle because Rapha still has a commanding lead with just a minute and a half to go. And it's been an amazing performance from him in this entire series.
Certainly has been. He had a few slip-ups there on Grub to keep. First, this is just, yeah, this is over, Dan. I think we knew it was over a couple of minutes ago, but That was basically just for extra that extra insurance there. Still raining rockets down, misses the rail, but at this point it doesn't really matter. He knows he's pretty much got it in the bag. He absolutely has done now. And Raisy, yeah, just a few misplays, maybe a few assumptions along the way, which has pretty much cost him a lot of deaths in this map. And yeah, this is a reason why he always says that this has definitely been one of his go-to.
Yeah. I think we saw just the comfort of Rapha on the kill, and particularly on this map. Strategy was there. The kill just performed much better. Didn't look like the scale of error really worked out for Raisy, and I think a lot of this victory is definitely down to the draft again. We look back at history of Quake, and Rapha traditionally has a one-up on opponents, and particularly with Raisy, and we see it again today. His thought process in the draft, that Sorlag pick, for instance, just set the tide, and he is looking sharp.
He certainly is. I kind of feel like he's not in old form, I like to call it, but back at his peak, I'd like to say, from what we saw there. And Raisy, yeah, he seemed a bit uncomfortable in some of those maps. Corrupted Keep, he looked 10 times better. It's a shame we didn't see a bit more of that, but yeah, there was the odd player too, which started adding up, and then you kind of felt like Raisy was potentially questioning himself as well.
He did, and he definitely had his number, so Raisy's going to have to reflect on that, look at the lower bracket now. I don't know who he's going to meet off the top of my head, but then we've already discussed there are some big names going down there. But we also see Rapha and Avek moving on in the upper bracket. Really good to see Avek moving on so far, and he's been a joy to watch as well.
Certainly has been Avek versus Rapha, and that's going to be quite an old school matchup. Something we haven't seen, you know, especially in the winners finals, because we know Avek's been teaching around the top 6, top 4 kind of area, hasn't he? And, you know, has been struggling against a lot of players. But this is his first time in the winners finals in a long time.
Yeah, I agree. He's always been someone that's come into finals, playing very strong. Then some mishaps around it. But this finals, he's come in and he's just stomped all the way through. But anyway, we've had our fun here. Let's go across to Ryan. So Ryan, let's see what Rapha thought of that one.
I'd love to hear what Rapha has to say, and I think this is appropriate. I don't know where this came from, but I saw it on the desk, and I thought it would be an interesting prop for this. But come on, mate, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Really satisfied with my performance overall. I felt like my game was a little off for the third one, and he played lights out. But I'm glad that I managed to, you know, recompose myself and close out the series before the final map.
I think he did really well. I'm sure 40 out there somewhere is going to be really pleased with the kill.
Yeah, he'll be really happy that I played and won with kill today. So
love you, mate. Miss you a lot. But I mean, come on, dude. We're deep in the bracket now, and you're still on that winner's side of the bracket. You're going up against more world-class competition. What's going through your mind with the potential opponents that you've got left? Because there's not many.
Yeah, I mean, all I can do is kind of focus on the fact that, you know, I'm going to be playing Avek and just go one match at a time. And right now, you know, I feel like really good. I feel like there's a little bit I can probably fix to my game, and I'll just be trying to fix that going into tomorrow to hopefully bring out the best of myself for the final day when it matters most. You know, just like time and time again, trying to just ramp up the play from day one to the final day so that you're playing your best when it matters.
I imagine, sorry, frog in my throat, inhaled air at the worst possible time. Great. When it comes to tomorrow's games, I mean, I can only assume your plan is to be as well rested as you can, get a good night's sleep, all that jazz?
Yeah, just the pretty standard stuff, you know, have a nice healthy meal, try to get some good rest, you know. Sometimes, I mean, it probably is going to happen to somebody tomorrow. Somebody's not going to get enough sleep, like tournament nerves. I mean, I've been playing for years, and I've had it, you know, within like the last 3 years. You know, it's like, it's something that might pop up again, it might not, you don't know, but you just got to adapt and be ready for the final day and just do the best you can to take care of yourself as the day goes on, and just play to how well you are on that day. Like, I know a tough thing to do sometimes is, you know how good you can play, and sometimes you try to overreach to that when you can't obtain it. You know what I mean? So you try to like feel what your limit is on the day and just maximize it. So that's what I'll be doing.
Well, it's been a potential championship performance so far, and we'll see if it can continue all the way through to tomorrow. That's going to be it on the main stream. I'd like to congratulate Rapha one more time going through. These final 2 series have been absolutely fantastic, and the stamina gets proven for sure. If you want to catch the remaining Quake today, make sure you go on twitch.tv/Myztro Live. This has been IronFist, presented by Myztro, sponsored by Logitech G. My name is Ketchup, joined by the greatest Quake player of all time.
Well, thank you.
And we'll see you tomorrow. See you later.